You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
But at night, it lights up really nice.
Jose Lugo says these tall metal towers quickly popped up after Brooklyn Battery Tunnel toll booths came down.
We don't really know what's the purpose of this.
It's a $100 million MTA project full of secrecy, with 18 of these for the tunnels and bridges. So what are they exactly?
Are you saying you can't comment to me? You know,
That's the MTA's man in charge of bridges and tunnels, Cedric Fulton, dodging our questions.
Not even later can we talk to you about it, or can I make an appointment?
Some MTA board members, including New York City Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg, say they know too little about the towers, even with about half the money spent and some of the towers up.
A lot of the board members felt like they didn't have all the details they would have wanted, myself included.
Residents who say they suspect there is much more going on with these towers than meets the eye wonder, will they ever know what's going on inside them?
I'm going to guess it's probably not just a decoration.
It's a bit mind-boggling that the MTA is approving $100 million for what appears to us to be big decorative pylons.
John Caney is leader of the watchdog group Reinvent Albany.
What we're asking for is transparency from the MTA.
We demanded answers from MTA Chairman Joe Lota.
Some of your own board members say they don't know the specifics.
The base of these new pieces that are going up include whatever fiber optics are necessary for those Homeland Security items.
In other words, anti-terror technology. Could it one day include facial recognition? We don't know. He won't say.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
So watch as more of these expensive towers rise, with mystery tucked away inside them. In Lower Manhattan, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
Chairman Lota said all necessary Homeland Security technology remains in place at all crossings, even the ones that don't have the new towers just yet.
Well, the Big Apple wants to keep tabs on just about anyone entering or leaving the city. New York City leaders want to create a database that can combine both license plate numbers and facial recognition. As you can imagine, not everyone's on board with the city's latest surveillance efforts. Here's RT's Trinity Chavez with the story.
In a city that already has a database on many residents, drivers, and non-residents, now New York City wants even more information about where you've been, where you're going, and who you're with. New York City has recently launched initiatives as part of the New York Crossing Project that would track anyone who is entering or leaving the city, including those in taxis, Ubers, and any other car services. The initiative will combine emerging technologies into the security design of bridges and tunnels across the state. At each crossing and at structurally sensitive points on bridges and tunnels, advanced cameras and sensors would be installed to read license plates and test emerging facial recognition software. The equipment would compare features like eyes, nose, cheekbones, and jaw with stored images to find matches. These technologies would be applied across airports and transit hubs to ultimately develop one system-wide plan. New York City Governor Cuomo said that this transformational project will revolutionize transportation in New York and ensure that our state is built to lead for generations to come. But many are concerned that by combining facial recognition and license plates with other databases like driver's license and property records is a complete invasion of privacy. New Yorkers, however, have mixed feelings.
Oh, definitely it's an invasion of privacy. I mean, you cannot go anywhere without cameras. Everywhere you go, it's cameras already. I think I'll be somewhat okay with it, but still privacy issues, I'm not too happy about that. So
you can't walk down the street without being recorded. So if law enforcement can make use of that, which they do, This just makes it more efficient.
It's just the way the world's going. It's sad we have to get to that point, isn't it?
The New York Crossing project will also implement new tunnel barriers to control major floods and seismic measures on bridges, which will provide long-term protection from earthquakes and other natural forces. Funding for these improvements is a part of the MTA's $27 billion capital plan.
Mystery surrounds metal towers that are popping up in tunnels and bridges in New York. I'm going to play that clip for you and then comment on what these people are saying, because I think it is a very, very dangerous position that we're in here. And it is truly a legacy of September 11th. This is the transformed mentality of Americans after September 11th. You know, when we hit the 16th anniversary of it, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how that fundamentally transformed our society, how there are these events that have been transforming our society on about a 70 or 80-year interval. And I truly believe that we've already had that transformation. Maybe it'll get worse, who knows? But boy, I tell you what, everybody knows it is a different America after September 11th, mainly because the psychology of Americans changed so much. They don't care about freedom anymore. They simply want the promise of security. But listen to this secretive, sorry, you can't know. It's almost like it is everybody, whether they're city transportation officials or anyone, has become the CIA anymore. Why? Because our surveillance state, the CIA, the NSA, that are spying on Americans, have so permeated their tentacles into every level of government that this is what you wind up with. Here's that report.
But at night, it lights up really nice.
Jose Lugo says these tall metal towers quickly popped up after Brooklyn Battery Tunnel toll booths came down.
We don't really know what's the purpose of this.
It's a $100 million MTA project full of secrecy.
These things are as tall as streetlights, folks.
For the tunnels and bridges. Big. So what are they exactly?
Are you saying you can't comment to me? You know,
that's the MTA's man in charge of bridges and tunnels, Cedric Fulton, dodging our questions.
Not even later, can we talk to you about it, or can I make an appointment?
Some MTA board members, including New York City Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg, say they know too little about the towers, even with about half the money spent and some of the towers up.
A lot of the board members felt like they didn't have all the details they would have wanted, myself included.
Residents who say they suspect there is much more going on with these towers than meets the eye wonder, will they ever know what's going on inside them?
I'm going to guess it's probably not just a decoration.
It's a bit mind-boggling that the MTA is approving $100 million for what appears to us to be big decorative pylons.
John Caney is leader of the watchdog group Reinvent Albany.
What we're asking for is transparency from the MTA.
We demanded answers from MTA Chairman Joe Loda.
Some of your own board members say they don't know the specifics.
The base of these new pieces that are going up include whatever fiber optics are necessary for those homeland security items.
In other words, anti-terror technology. Could it one day include
that looks
facial
dystopian.
recognition? We don't know. He won't say.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
So watch as more of these expensive towers rise, with mystery tucked away inside them. In Lower Manhattan, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
Play a little bit more. Oh, the comment that person, when they came back from that report, said, don't worry, Homeland Security says that we're safe. We're safe. That, to me, was the money clip on there. Maybe we'll get that a little bit later. But it's absolutely amazing to me when we look at this. And these things, as I pointed out, as we're looking at the video, they are as tall as a street light. And they are very, very wide. Big, massive, imposing. I guess the way you would describe it is I think it's called brutalism, the style of architecture adopted by totalitarian states. It actually it does look brutal, but it's these big, imposing concrete edifices that they call it brutalism because it was exposed raw concrete and raw building materials, but it also gives it a very authoritarian, dystopian look. And to me, that whole thing looks very brutal. And yet people are just, oh, no, that's okay. We don't really know what the purpose of this is. It's a $100 million project that their city government is paying for, but they're not allowed to know. Even the people on the board are not even allowed to know. See, that's the amazing thing. The board members said, well, you know, I would like to have had more details, but I'm just not important enough to know what's going on in my town. Because the people who are going to make these decisions are in Washington. You know, and they're in Langley, and, you know, the NSA, all these people that we can trust because they keep telling us that they're going to do this for our own safety. So we just don't have to know any of that. We don't know any specifics. We don't know any details. But they said, don't worry. It's got everything that Homeland Security needs. Well, we need to have some answers. We're not your slaves. And we're not going to live in a secretive society like this. When government can keep everything secret from us, well, you know, they can do anything to us. And that's the attitude that they have, the attitude that we are their slaves. And then they finish it up and saying, I'm not at liberty to discuss that. You know, we don't have any liberty, do we? The board members don't have any liberty. You don't have any liberty. You just pay up. Pay up your $100 million, and we're going to put some surveillance thing here. Maybe it'll be something, you know, they could put some soft kill thing or some hard kill thing in there, and you'd never know or care, would you? Whatever they do. We had one more quote from another official. This is the MTA official. His name is Schultz, and he had this to say.
I see nothing. I know nothing.
At least he's wearing the right uniform. The Nazi uniform, because that's where we are, folks. This is a dystopian future that we're in.
Every once in a while, you see the system set up things, and they don't tell anybody what they're about, and people start asking questions, and they're told, "Shut up, slave," literally. And that's even the quote here. He said no comment, which means "shut up, slave." That's what I see it as.
We're not going to tell you what we're spending $100 million on.
All right. What are we talking about? Well, we're not talking about the art pieces that are in Chicago that you guys could Google that and check that out, that had cameras in them to spy on people.
Of course.
We're not talking about gunshot detectors that are put all around cities nationwide to eavesdrop on people. No. We're talking about these new mysteries surrounding metal towers that have appeared in New York City at the bridges and tunnels going in and out of the city. And here's the article from CBS New York. Mystery surrounds metal towers popping up in tunnels and bridges. Mysterious metal towers are popping up at local tunnels, and soon they'll start appearing at bridges, too. Points of entry.
Exactly. And exit.
And exit. But even people on the MTA board in charge of the towers can't say why they're being used and what's in them. Dave Carlin reports. The MTA's man in charge of the bridges and tunnels, Cedric Fulton, dodged Carlin's questions on Wednesday. I said no comment. And we have video of that. So let's roll the video.
It's up really nice.
Jose Lugo says these tall metal towers quickly popped up after Brooklyn Battery Tunnel toll booths came down.
We don't really know what's the purpose of this.
It's a $100 million MTA project full of secrecy, with 18 of these for the tunnels and bridges. So what are they exactly?
Are you saying you can't comment to me? You know,
that's the MTA's man in charge of bridges and tunnels, Cedric Fulton, dodging our questions.
Not even later can we talk to you about it, or can I make an appointment?
Some MTA board members, including New York City Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg, say they know
these are not just decorative for $100 million.
Even with about half the money
they light up at night. Ooh.
They're aluminum.
Board members felt like they didn't have all the details they would have wanted, myself included.
Residents who say they suspect there is much more going on with these towers than meets the eye wonder, will they ever know what's going on inside them?
I'm going to guess it's probably not just a decoration.
It's a bit mind-boggling that the MTA is approving
that they're not telling you what they're going to be using them
what
for?
Appears to us to be big decorative pylons.
John Caney is leader of the watchdog group Reinvent Albany.
What we're asking for is transparency from the MTA.
We demanded answers from MTA Chairman Joe Lota.
Some of your own board members say they don't know the specifics.
The base of
go ahead and say shut up, slave.
New pieces that are going up include whatever fiber optics are necessary for those homeland
What word
security
can I
items.
say?
In other words, anti-terror technology. Could it one day include facial recognition? We don't know. He won't say.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
So watch as
All right,
more
we'll
of
cut it
these
out.
expensive towers.
So they're hundreds of millions of dollars. No, it's literally a $100 million project. Yeah. I'll let you go first. What do you think they're going to be using?
I think they're putting these in place. I bet the people in the MTA don't even actually know what's going inside of them.
They probably don't.
they've probably been told, put something here that has this much internal volume, that has power going to it, that has fiber optic.
You're going to pay for it, and we're not going to tell you what it is.
And then, exactly, we're going to take over the rest of this project. I imagine they're going to be filling them. Like you said, these are ingress and egress points to the city. They want to detect things that are in vehicles. They're parallel to the road. We already know they have technology down at the border where they're basically able to x-ray trucks that are driving through.
Mobile x-rays.
I can see that being one of the things they use it for.
Yep.
I don't think, of course, they're going to put cameras on these things.
License plate reading technology.
Those are the things you can see. There's lots of sensors they can have that you can't
probably some
see.
Radioactive sensors.
Exactly. So they can detect radiation as trucks are driving into the city. If there's a dirty bomb in the back, that would be emitting radiation and would that'd register a spike on both ends of the tunnel as it's driving through, potentially shut that down before it goes off in the city. Or they would know about it at least. So there's lots of different technologies they could pack into these things. But I don't believe the people in the MTA probably even know what's going to go into them.
Hey guys,
high ups do.
There's also on the new $100 bills are RFID readers. If they're shooting out a signal, they actually
could be picked up by RFID readers.
If you're holding, if you have a bag of
how much money is coming into the city and out of the city.
Yeah,
it's possible.
They can see anybody with a large amount of cash, through a trunk or anything.
So there's your answer. That's what's inside those mysterious towers. It's going to be total information awareness, which is what the government is always interested in. They want to know who's carrying their money. In fact, I think you can put those new $100 bills inside a microwave and roast those RFID readers.
I
wouldn't recommend.
I didn't know that they actually had RFID in them. And then, of course, there's the difference between active and passive.
You can pull out the slip. You can pull out the sliver. People do it all the time.
I thought it was like a holographic strip in there. Yeah, look into that while we talk about this. There's active and passive RFID.
Right.
One only works from a couple inches away. That's passive RFID. It has no battery in it. So we've got key cards to get into the building here and for time clocks and other things. Those are passive RFID. They don't have a battery, so they only work from a couple inches away. You actually have to tap it on the thing.
That we know of.
Then active RF, well, it has to do with the coil size and things like that. The one in a PET, the little microchip in there, that's why they actually
that works off cell
touch you have to touch the scanner onto it.
Right.
And so that's why it has to be brought into a
What about the ones that are about this big that you could supposedly put in your wallet and check your and find out where you left your keys?
Those actually work with Bluetooth. Like you've got one of those tags, I think, one of those little.
I lose my keys.
Those are little Bluetooth beacons, and a lot of people will put them on keys or in their wallet. So those actually work by other people who have those tags, and they're relying on the fact that people carry cell phones around that have Bluetooth and cellular, and they pick up and report on the locations of tags. So if someone has one of those and you have that app installed, you're reporting back to their servers the location of it. So those use a little coin-celled battery and Bluetooth low energy technology.
And I guarantee these are all hooked up to a threat fusion center that are, if you go to any major city, DHS over the last few years during the Obama administration was putting in threat fusion centers, giant rooms with TVs everywhere. In fact, one of the companies that put in our TV wall, they had just gotten done doing the one in Austin. And I said, can we get a tour? He's like, nobody gets a tour of that. That's how secretive they keep these, but it's cameras everywhere. It's tracking what you're doing. It's facial recognition. But what do we have to hide, right? Yeah.
There was actually, and sorry to throw this on you guys, but there was a clip that came out the other day, see if y'all can find it, from China that was showing basically these cameras they had on the streets that were identifying vehicles, identifying people walking down the road. And
we've shown the videos here of the cop driving down the street with the cameras on the top, and he's driving through a parking lot. He's like, oh, parking tickets. This guy's got warrants. This is just going bing, 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 and it's license plate scanners. So that's what these are going to be used for.
There was one of those driving through my apartment complex the other day.
Right, probably looking for deadbeats or people who owe the state money. Oh, look at that.
Cars that need to be.
Go back to that. Go back to that big spot. That multicam shot. That was intense. Yeah, that right there. That's what your threat fusion center looks like. That's what they're scanning, looking for signs of life. Now, the interesting thing is, will these new androids that they're building that people are freaking out about, will their facial recognition register on these?
There's a lot of money in being able to tell the emotions of people, and IBM has done that with their.
You can tell people by their walk. They can.
This is the video in China I was talking about. One of the things with IBM's Watson system that they sell to companies is basically a help desk kind of thing that can analyze text. So if someone sends an email complaining, it can say, well, this person's upset. This person is happy. Just by the words and the type of language you're using without directly saying how someone feels about it. That's a service that they sell to businesses. So the same thing could be applied to video. Someone walking down the street, this person's mad, this person's going to go do something.
Let's use our predictive programming and see where they're going to go. Oh, they're walking towards a bank. Let's send the cops there now. Let's get him as he comes out. Who knows what it's going to be used for? Definitely the future is wild, and who knows what's coming down the pike, but that's what's going in those metal towers.